Hey everybody, rock and roll outdoors. It's been a pretty slow day, but I guess there's no reason why people shouldn't see what I get to see when I'm out here. Beautiful country. Pretty warm day today. It's supposed to get up to the mid 80s. Right now I still think it's in probably the high 70s, maybe low 80s possibly. But you get in the woods and it doesn't matter how hot it is. Temperatures pretty much go down a lot. You get out on open country, you feel the full effects of the heat, but at least in the woods, it's even in the middle of summer, which it's not yet, but you can feel pretty comfortable. Like I said, it's been a pretty dead day. Not even a lot of animal activity. I guess somebody's at the shooting range. Behind me about, I don't know, maybe a quarter mile, there's a shooting range for this particular conservation area. Been seeing a lot of deer tracks on this trail though. Don't know if you can see that or not, but deer track in that depression, which there's a lot of horse tracks too, because people bring their horses out here and ride. Even yet another trail that comes up here. Cool. I think we're just going to keep going this way though. I'm going east to west right now. Today I am staying on a major trail. Typically I don't really care to do that. I like to kind of go off trail or find game trails and go off on game trails, because in all honesty you can find a lot more interesting things when you're on just a game trail that people don't frequent, or because game tend to go to kind of cool places, or it's just nicer. On regular trails that have been made by the Park Service, or Conservation Department I suppose in this case, yeah, kind of lame. But this time of year it's getting harder and harder to go off trail, just because the foliage is getting thicker and thicker. Wintertime, fall, early spring, you know, it's amazing the places you can get to pretty easily without too much difficulty. But as you can see around you, that's some thick looking woods. Yet if this was wintertime, I wouldn't have any problem at all going through any of that if I wanted to. Once you get a lot of undergrowth coming up, even the areas that are in between the trees become quite overgrown. More gunshots. Sorry if I'm not being a plethora of information for those of you who might want that. I'm not a huge talker when I'm out in the woods, simply because I kind of like to keep my ears open and hear things. There's another channel that I follow on YouTube that the guy's in the woods a lot. Does a little different than kind of a thing than I do, but he's in a different part of the world. But about a week ago, these flowers were everywhere and they were in full bloom. I'm not sure what they even are, but they're really cool looking. I guess they're still kind of in full bloom, but they were in parts that are everywhere. I guess they're over there as well. Kind of cool thing about springtime. A lot of flowers. Yet another path. Oh, this is the one that goes down to the pine trees, actually. I know where I'm at now. But as I was saying, I tend not to like to talk a lot because I kind of like to listen to my surroundings. If you're yammering, like this other guy that I follow on YouTube, he tends to talk an awful lot. Even there's really nothing to talk about, but I guess maybe he thinks it keeps the video interesting. In some of these videos I'm planning on maybe showing some bushcraft, things of that nature, if anybody wants to see it. This pond over here, the other side of this pond, there's a grove of cedars on the far bank. And actually, at the same day that I did the video for the deer, earlier that day I was up on that bank making some char cloth and some punk wood. Just to have, you know, and now I have it, so don't need to do any of that again, but I'm sure you can pull up tons of videos on how to do that, but my technique might be slightly different. Actually, I think it probably is. I didn't really want to go through all the hassle of making a huge fire and all that, and then having the issue of it being seen and so on and so forth. So I took a little bit different approach, which worked out quite well. Also, I'm about to show you where I got my fatwood. That little grove of pines, which I'm in the Ozarks, near Springfield, Missouri. And around this area, there's not a lot of pine forests, a lot of cedar, a lot of hardwood forest, but not so much in the pine. I think maybe back in the day there was. A lot of it got lumbered out and then regrew back with hardwood forest. I don't know, but a lot of times when you see a grove of pines, it's because they were left standing back in the day because there was a house, you know, nearby, and they provide nice windbreak and so forth. If I had to guess, being that there's a pond right behind us, let's say maybe there was a house in this vicinity. Because all this conservation land is you know, old farmland that's been bought up by the state and reutilized for conservation land, which, I don't know, in a way I have a problem with it, but in a way it's nice because it's not like when I was a kid and we had a 160-acre farm. I don't have land of my own to go around on. My quarter acre or whatever I have that my house is on isn't much, but anyway, this is where I got the fat wood. Actually from this specific log. There were branches coming off of it. So you can see probably there that I knocked off and utilized this fat wood and processed. And all fat wood is, for those of you who don't know, is when a pine tree gets a broken limb while it's still alive, it tends to secrete a lot of sap to seal up the break, thus not allowing insects to get inside the tree and kill the tree. Therefore, it is just a bunch of resin, you know, knotted up in this at the base of a branch that has been broken. And if you can get that branch off, you can split it up, and it lights with quite a bit of intensity because all that resin is very flammable. Pine resin is very flammable. Sorry if I sound distracted. I'm picking off ticks at the moment, as you can see. Even though I sprayed myself down, I'm still getting quite a few ticks on me. Ticks are very bad this year. Okay, anyway, back on the trail.